Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to be a great boss. I'm going to be giving you the answer up front, and throughout the episode, I'm going to be giving you a series of anecdotes and stories with a couple of tips for you to understand what I mean. For you to be a great boss, you need to be half boss and half worker. A couple of years back, when I was in undergrad, there was a certain period when I got a job in Dunkin' Donuts. And initially, I was happy because Dunkin' Donuts paid you weekly. I didn't have to do too much, just had to pour some coffee, get people some donuts, and just like that, your boy was getting paid. I noticed that when I was working, there were a few other people that I worked with. One kid was roughly around my age, and every now and then I would talk to this guy. This guy, he worked with his mom and he worked with his dad. Him and his mom would work in the morning shift, and his dad would work the night shift. When this gentleman found out that I was an engineering student, he got really intrigued. He's like, "You know, Armani, it's always been my dream to be an engineering student as well. Go on and tell me what it's like." And I was like, "Well, why don't you study engineering as well? I mean, you're so young. I mean, you have a time." And that's when he said, "I can't. The reason I can't is because if I leave this Dunkin' Donuts, my parents wouldn't be able to run it without me." So due to that reason, this guy, at the peak of his life, was stuck in Dunkin' Donuts. And that's when I started to build a very negative perception in regards to Dunkin' Donuts. This was the place where dreams went to die. Now, around the same time, one day I was chilling with one of my fraternity brothers, and he invited me and a couple of other buddies to his place. Once we went to his place, we saw that his place was huge. It was a mansion. And that's when I asked this guy, "Hey, what does your dad do for a living?" And he responds back, he's in the Dunkin' Donuts grind." Dunkin' Donuts? Are you talking about the place where dreams go to die? So I pressed him a little bit further, and this guy says, what happens is that he owns a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts, and due to owning a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts, he gets cash flow from all his different stores. My dad's a millionaire right now. That's when I realized, you could actually use Dunkin' Donuts in order to build an empire. So I asked my fraternity brother, "Where's your dad right now?" And he says, "My dad's working in the Dunkin' Donuts." Wait a minute. He owns all of these Dunkin' Donuts. What the heck is he doing working in one of the stores? What's he doing? The usual. Making donuts, pouring the coffee, cleaning the toilets, etc. Wait a minute. Your dad owns a bunch of these Dunkin' Donuts, and he does all of these menial tasks that the employee has to do? My fraternity brother nodded his head. I asked, "Why?" My fraternity brother says, "So my dad could stay grounded." And this is when I learned what it's like to have the half worker, half boss perspective. Because when a lot of people are trying to be a boss, they just want to be the boss. And when they are just the boss, what they're doing is they're issuing a lot of commands to others, making them do the work. And this is going to work for a long period of time because these guys that are working for the boss are, by contract, are obligated to execute the commands. But many times, these employees are going to lose respect for the boss because they're going to think, "This guy just talks. He doesn't really do." And my fraternity brother was telling me that his dad was sort of like that for a while. Once he started to own all of these different stores, it got to his head. And he wouldn't show up. He would just collect a bunch of paychecks. And out of the blue moon, there was 2 months when a bunch of his managers quit out of the blue moon. And since he was just in La La Land the entire time, he was he was blindsided. And that's when he learned that in order to be a great boss, you need to be where the people are. You need to be in connection with the pulse. And there's so many examples of this, by the way. I mean, one example that I could just think of off the top of my head is Vince McMahon and the WWE. He was the CEO of the World Wrestling Entertainment Organization, but at the same time, he was one of the wrestlers for a while too. By owning and working, immediately he wins respect among his peers. The rapper 50 Cent, you know what he used to do when he used to make rap music? He would go to the clubs. Now someone may say, go to the clubs? That sounds like goofing off. Not at all. For a guy that makes rap music, where does rap music get played? In the clubs. So he would go from being a boss to now being with all the other people that are enjoying his music, so he could be around the people and understand what the pulse is like. One of my good friends, he started a software company. He's the CEO of the company, but at the same time, he also does customer support for his company. When I asked him why, he said, due to me doing customer support and due to me seeing a lot of these different complaints that I get on an ongoing basis, I know what sort of updates to roll out for the software company. So you want to ask yourself that question: how can I be a half worker and a half boss at the same time? By doing both, surprisingly, you become a better boss. You understand what it is that your employees should really be doing, and at the same time, you build respect among them because they really know you're about it. They see that you've risen up the ranks, but you're not too scared to roll up your sleeves and get your work done every now and then. Be the guy that is the best of both worlds. You know when to work when needed, and you know when to issue commands when needed. Combine the two, and you have the recipe to become a great boss. If you enjoyed today's talk, go on and drop that like for me right on below and share this video on your social media of choice. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.